okay. All right.
Oh, here we are.
Fine.
That was the second. We're live.
We're
Live on YouTube. Oh,
all right. We're live on Instagram, Dr. Kiltz, Kiltz Mighty Tribe, and of course, YouTube, Facebook. And we have the most amazing Claire Grant talking about
women's health and all things around it.
And if you have women's health, you have men's health, because if women are aligned with the universe, then men are aligned with the universe. But there is this yin and yang of the male female concepts.
Definitely.
And tell us a little bit about yourself, Claire, and what we're going to talk about today.
Well, so I live in England. I'm right on the southeast coast. I can see France from here on a beautiful sunny day like today.
wow.
So it's just 10 o'clock in the morning here. I am a complementary medicine practitioner for the last 18 plus years. And as I went through that, picking up various modalities as I went along, I sort of started to niche down and specialize into women's health. So I've picked up quite a lot of training specifically around menopause as well. Initially, I was looking at that to support myself, and then I realized, actually, no, this is really, really important. So I started that about 5-6 years ago, and of course, it's all exploded since then. During the lockdowns, I lost 2 businesses overnight. I wasn't allowed to work for 18 months. As part of my women's health umbrella, I also teach fitness. I focus specifically on Pilates. I'm a huge advocate of Pilates and strength training, particularly for women and particularly for women going through menopause. Yay!
Yay!
Love it. That's fab. Yeah, we know you're a bit of a gym bunny, huh?
Oh, I'm always in the gym, no matter where you're at. You don't have to go to a place to be there. That's the beauty of it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's part of what we're going to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, my living room has got dumbbells lined up. It's got Fitball lined up. It's got all the bands and everything. So yeah, exactly.
And this is my office, and I'm at my stand-up desk. And no matter where I'm at, whether it's home or at the office, I've got the tools. But our body is all we need. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. Particularly when we do Pilates, if we're just doing the mat and we're not even using any small equipment, the people in my classes are always amazed at the difference between having an arm or a leg bent and then the difference when you lengthen them and how much heavier they are. And I go, see, you don't need equipment, you don't need weights, you just use your arms and legs.
Well, and if you think about it, as we've all been claimed to be overweight, isn't it true that those people that carry more fat weight on their body actually have stronger muscles?
I believe so. Yes,
yep,
I do believe so. Yeah, because they're having to carry that weight around.
And so we think negatively of it rather than thinking positively of the fact that our muscles are actually stronger because we carry more weight.
Yeah. Very much so.
Isn't it important? I mean, I imagine going through all the COVID stuff and the loss of things. Do most of us walk around with sort of a negative thought and attitude of the world?
Well, yeah, I see both. I see both. And it sort of comes in cycles. I think it just depends what's happening at that time and also the time of the year as well. And I think it depends a lot on the type of person you are. I've worked a lot with women going through active cancer treatment, specifically with breast cancer. And I definitely, in my very, very small amount of people that sit on my couch, see 2 types: glass half empty, glass half full. And I definitely see a correlation with that and the outcomes. I think it's fascinating.
Well, are they different types of people, or they're different types of thinking? And in fact, it's only our thoughts that actually turn out to emulate the vibration of our energy.
Yeah, I think so, because you can just see it in the person when they come in. I'm sure you see it every day. You just get that, and once you start seeing it, you start to tune into it a bit more. So as those people come in to see you, or even just people you talk to day to day out on the street, you just pick that up from them, don't you? You get that sort of energy, that vibration from them, and you can tell. So I think it's definitely an all holistic package within that person.
So tell us a little bit about your hardships that built the strong person I see in front of me.
Okay. Well, if I go right the way back to bring it back to them where I am today, I suffered a lot as a baby and a child with tonsillitis. Child of the 70s. I assume it was probably similar over there, that everything was treated with a huge amount of antibiotics. And then if it didn't work, you just cut it out. So I had a tonsillectomy at 5. And the reason I had that at 5 is my parents pushed for it. We have the National Health Service here, the NHS. So our family doctor refused to do it, but I was having repeat bouts every 2 to 3 months. They tried this newfangled drug on me, and they said if it works for 3 months, she's fine. Week 11, the tonsillitis came back. So I think that's played a massive part in where I ended up in 2007. My husband and I had been married just getting on for a year. We were trying for a family, and my periods just completely disappeared. I was like, okay, what's going on here? Go and see the doctor. And they go, you're just trying too hard to get pregnant, and the stress is stopping your periods. And I'm like, do I look like I was born yesterday? Come on. So they let me go another 3 months, ran the blood test, and I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. My nurse practitioner at the time was smart enough to run antibody tests, because they don't really do them here. So I have Hashimoto's. More than 97% of people with hypothyroidism have Hashimoto's or autoimmune thyroiditis, whichever term you want to use. And so that's when I went down the rabbit hole hugely. I was already into sort of things to do with my health. I was already training in complementary medicine when all of this started to happen. And I went to see a fabulous doctor by the name of Dr. Barry Durant-Peatfield, who's wrote a book about hypothyroidism. He was actually forced to retire because of the way he was practicing medicine and supporting people with hypothyroidism. And it didn't go down very well here.
Wow.
So I went and had an appointment with him, and he said, what is it you want? So I said, we're trying to have a baby. So he put me in touch with a company to help bring my periods back online with a natural progesterone cream, which was just amazing. That worked within a month. And he supported me through other things, as well as me taking the thyroxine. So I've been on a massive discovery really about all of that, and down the rabbit hole so much around autoimmune. I was doing paleo because a lot of the information around it comes out of America. We don't really know much about Hashimoto's over here compared to you guys. You were way ahead of it over there. I did a lot of things around Dr. Datis Karazian. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's quite well versed in Hashimoto's. Dr. Isabella Wentz as well. I actually was, I worked as part of her team eventually. I was one of her patient advocates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was quite involved in sharing that information specifically over here in the UK, because our way of treating and testing is completely different. And I discovered paleo and a few other ways of adjusting things around what I was doing. Fast forward all the way through to a couple of years ago, and I had 2 quite big, what I would call Hashimoto crashes, which are not usual for me. I didn't present in the normal way. I wasn't overweight. before they put me on meds. I didn't have problems with energy. I didn't have problems with my skin or anything like that. All of that happened after I went on the thyroxine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd had 2 really big stressful events happen within the space of 6 months, and I had these 2 really big crashes, and I was okay, right, we've got to get on this, we've got to sort this out. I cannot carry on like this. Part of that had also been me working with a medical herbalist and me wanting to get off of the thyroxine because I just don't want to be on it. I feel that the body has the capability to heal itself and regenerate, and at least if I can't get it all of the damage fixed, I can hopefully get most of it fixed and let my body just do what it wants to do by itself instead of suppressing it, because that's basically what the thyroxine's doing, is suppressing it. And it was a chance remark. I'd actually heard of Carnivore before and I knew about keto, but I'd sort of not dismissed it, but just sort of went, yeah, let's just park that there. And then it was a chance remark. I was chatting to someone and they mentioned Carnivore again, and I went again down the rabbit hole. But it felt so extreme that I spent months and months and hours of watching everybody on YouTube, including yourself, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Berry, Kelly Hogan, all the usuals, and then our fabulous guys over here in the UK, Coach Stephen, Richard Smith, Lee Copus, who's Kent Carnivore.
Yeah.
Just absorbing all of the information. And then I finally pushed the button April last year. I had been working into it. So I'd always had this thing where I'd be really good with my diet. And after about 6 months, my body just refused to eat any vegetables. I'd never been a big fruit eater as a kid anyway. It was when I got sick with the Hashimoto's that I started putting fruit and veg in my diet, which seems a bit crazy now. So yeah, it's really been through trial and error and getting to that point, and the way my body feels and the way my body responds. I took bloods a year ago, so about 4 weeks before I started. I'd been having issues with blood pressure, and my iron was really, really low. I was anemic, and the private blood test said I was anemic, but the NHS said, no, you're normal. I knew I wasn't. When you're just walking normally, taking the dog for a walk and you can't breathe, really struggling for breath. So I put myself on a supplement. I looked for one, a really, really good one, because ferrous fumarate just doesn't work and it blocks you up. And I found one that people who have regular infusions use, and they use it in between their infusions. So within 10 days, I got my ferritin from 15 up to 56. And I had that on the blood test. I then stopped taking it because I was like, let's see what Carnivore can do for me. I then ran the blood test again 4.5, 5 months later. Without any supplementation, my ferritin went from 56 to 106.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I could feel it in my body because I was no longer breathless. I've got energy. I feel fine. I feel warm.
Yeah.
Which in the UK is important.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and just all my other markers were starting to come up. My vitamin D, that came up without any supplements at all. And of course, people will tell you, particularly when you live in the Northern Hemisphere and quite far north, oh no, you have to supplement, particularly in the winter. No, I did it with food and Carnivore and getting outside. So I'm running the next lot of blood tests next week, because that will be almost a year. So to see where I'm at, my thyroids were stable, but I'm thinking it might be going a little bit overactive because of the levothyroxine. We don't run blood tests very often here, so I just take in control of it myself because I want to start working it down.
Right.
And I see this in women that come in. I recognize B12 deficiency because I went through that myself, and having to go up against what we call back then they were called the clinical commissioning groups, the CCGs. My GP was actually supportive. He'd recently done a like a CPD continuing education in B12. So he agreed with me that I was having neurological symptoms, major neurological symptoms. But at that time, 12 years ago, the CCG, I had peripheral neuropathy, I had burning hands and feet. I'd been an executive PA for 17 years before I started doing what I do now and before having my family. And my husband said to me one day, he's going, "What is going on with you?" Because I always had a really, really good memory. And I couldn't get the words. You know, the words are on the tip of your tongue and you can't say the words. So all of that was going on. So the reference range is around B12 and all of that. So I recognize it in people when they come in to see me, and have to really, I'm all about supporting women to take back control of their own health and well-being so that they can go and advocate for themselves. So obviously I'm not a clinician. I can't tell people what they can and can't do, but I can share information that I've learned from guys like you to go, you might want to go and have a look at that and just have a look, because in reference range is not optimal.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing that we're taught. Oh, you can't share that with anyone. And especially nutrition in America, I don't know, it's like there is that you have to have a license in order to share nutritional information. Freedom of speech. We're all here to share the experience of each and every human being and how the stories heal humanity. .live, .movie, .com, and we're really shifting it up. And ultimately, are we simply just poisoned by plants?
Yes.
Is that all we are? I mean, we make this very complicated also. We're poisoned by plants. That is it.
Yeah. I controversially, and I don't care, I'm going to go out there, I'm living experience of this. I don't believe that autoimmune conditions exist. I've always had a problem with my body is attacking itself. This is an innate intelligent organism.
Right.
All human beings are innate intelligent organisms, not just talking about myself.
No, I understand. But you're talking about the body itself is an innate intelligent organism.
It makes no sense that the body would attack itself to me. And I've always thought that since I had the diagnosis, and I was just like, there's something else going on here. And then you learn about plants and what they're doing. And perhaps autoimmunity is one of the biggest examples of this is how extreme it can get when you eat plants.
There's no such thing as autoimmune diseases. I've been saying it for years. Zero. It's immunologic reactions against foreign antigens, chemicals, sugars, and fermentation in our gut. And so inflammation, but we're poisoned by what they've told us is a healthy diet. Now, I'm not blaming anyone, because who's responsible for our lives?
You are. We are. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And is menopause a normal experience for women in the sense of they stop having their menstrual periods when they run out of eggs? Is that normal?
I personally believe it is. I think that is our normal transition, and we're moving into the next stage of our life. There are only a few species, including us on the planet, that actually go through menopause. Whales being one of the other ones that go through it. And, we have the grandma hypothesis for a reason. It's there because we go through menopause, we come out the other side, and we are the wise women. We are the ones in our communities who then become the medicine people. It wasn't the men, it was the women. They're the ones with the knowledge. They were the ones who were able to then support their community, support their tribe going forward, sharing how to look after your health, how to get through pregnancy, labor, how to look after the babies, how to raise the babies. But particularly in the West, women, when we get to this age and beyond, we become invisible. We're not seen as valuable necessarily. But we can look to history and other cultures where that is completely the opposite, where, they're quite revered, if not very much so. They're the ones with the knowledge. So we've obviously evolved to have menopause for a reason. I run a not-for-profit organisation here in the UK, and I support women and girls with their health and well-being. And I currently run a menopause project over 8 weeks called Thrive Through Menopause. And I come at it from a very holistic and complementary standpoint. And every single one I run, I always get, well, we're the first generation really to go through this, because we were all dead before we ever went through menopause, or we didn't survive much beyond menopause. And I'd be like, that's not true. All you've got to do is go and walk around a cemetery, look at the gravestones from 200-300 years ago, look at the ages of these women. That's not true. But the urban myths are out there, and I do feel that menopause is being used as a bit of fear to sort of medicalize a condition that is completely natural and normal. What I'm seeing, and why I came to this, is I was thinking, if our hormones are made from fat and cholesterol, my generation in particular grew up seeing our mums with those little books with the tape measure on the front, calorie counting. We are the children from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s who everything was low fat. So I was sitting there going, this has got to be part of it. This has got to be part of it. The reason why they're saying it's estrogen is because you've had 20, 30, 40 years beforehand, you're not eating enough fat. And now when your body really needs it as it's making that transition, and I hate the word of the use decline, that they're trying to make it into that you're ill and you've got a deficiency and you're declining. We don't say that about girls before they start their periods. Their hormones are here. We go through our fertile phase, and then we no longer need to be fertile, and our hormones are here. They're the same. We're not declining. We're not deficient. What makes us feel deficient and struggle with that is maybe we've not had enough fat in our diet, plus you throw in any stress, that's going to exacerbate it. The body is trying to make the hormones and allow the estradiol that's produced in the ovaries to just slowly shut down if you're going through a natural menopause. That's why Carnivore really, really got my attention.
So are we going through menopause earlier? Rosemary Moodley from Kiltz Mighty Tribe has made a comment. Is that happening? Are we going through menopause earlier and menstruation earlier because of the plant phytoestrogens, androgens, and progestins through a very high plant protein, low animal fat diet?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. I'm 100% on board with that. I can see it.
I get this, my mail yesterday.
Smart eating.
It's smart eating made easy. And as you can see, it's vegetables, lean meat, and they want to make your eating healthy. And it's got all sorts of these drinks, but everything's made of some plant protein, low fat diet. And we've gone through a low fat craze, and we're getting more inflamed, and the toxins the plants make aren't they one of the biggest causes of disease? And medicinal herbal medicine was huge in our ancient times, but when we talk about history, we're talking about the agricultural evolution of our times, because we don't really know what they did prehistory, do we?
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think we know, don't we, that we've been getting shorter and our brains are getting smaller since agriculture came in. So it stands to reason that it's having an effect on other processes within the body. Definitely. I mean, my daughter started her periods at around 12, so that was the same age as me. But I know that there were girls in her school who were 9.
Oh, wow.
We're hearing about 8 and 9-year-olds.
Oh, no,
I mean,
terrible.
you're still a child. You're still in that. Well, we have a completely different school system to you, but you're not in your second, what we call our senior school.
Yeah.
But if we went back 50,000 years ago, were you getting ready to go to school and get a degree and get a job? I mean, ultimately, what is the thing that is the most important thing in the universe for all organisms? Reproduction. And we've neglected the importance of reproduction. We've sort of prioritized, you got to be ready and you've got to have this and that or do this and that. And now everyone's suffering because, oh my God, we don't have any children. We're infertile. We have miscarriages, and we're like all neurotic.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I was 35 when I had my first pregnancy. So I was classed as geriatric. And again, my brain just goes there and goes, but how do you know that I'm going to have trouble? The same as when they say, oh, if you're going to have trouble when you're past 35, but how do you know that person wouldn't have had trouble at 25? How do they know that? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I could never get my head around that. Why? Oh, you're much higher risk. You're geriatric pregnancy. I have 2 healthy children. In fact, my oldest baby turns 16 today.
Oh, my daughter, my one and only child, which we conceived and delivered at age 32, who at 36 delivered her first baby, Giulio, and amazing baby 2 weeks ago. But ultimately, isn't this what we're missing in our environments of families, building families, and how important it is? And we're all, so why are we so neurotic and crazy and diseased? Because we've forgotten our foundations.
Have we forgotten them, or have we been made to forget them? And have we been distracted?
Well, right. But I don't blame anyone else for who and what we are.
Yeah.
We individually must take responsibility for it, because the more we blame others, the angry we get, and that's negative energy.
Right.
We're actually, the story is there. There have been hunters and gatherers. They're still out there.
Yes.
But we are looking for easy. A easy way out. And that's, I mean, all of us, all of us are looking for that. And so how is it, what can we do? And because I see the carnivore community, more so than keto, than anything I've ever been in, is the game changer. And maybe 100%. You could comment what your thoughts are on that, Claire, and how we can all make that change.
I think you have to have a very strong why, because it goes so against the grain, mainstream narrative, whatever you want to call it. And I agree, we do have to take responsibility for ourselves, but in the same instance, we have been very cleverly manipulated and conditioned to think and behave in a certain way. And so people like me, who are not clinically trained, I'm poo-pooed and, oh, you're all woo-woo and, where's your degree and where's your this and where's your that? People are very, very much like that. So to break out of that and actually go, oh, it's actually better if I do the complete opposite. It takes usually something big to have happened to someone, because you do get a lot of pushback. We've all got stories of friends and family and colleagues who see what we're doing and then they go, what about your cholesterol? What about heart disease? You're going to drop down dead. And yet here we are, aging backwards, getting more vibrant, more healthy as the days go on, but still their cognitive dissonance is saying to them, well, no, and that's because of the conditioning they've had. I think with that big strong why, you can push through, and you do need that strong why to get you through those times when the cravings kick in early on, or people are questioning you, or particularly in this country we have a big drink culture. Everything revolves around going to the pub or going out for dinner and having alcohol, or you get together with mates and you have drinks. So that's quite a big one as well, because the alcohol, then you're going to eat stuff, and people regularly go, oh, well, can I have a beer? Can I have a glass of wine? Can I go out and have an Indian? Can I do this? Can I do that? No one's stopping you. It's your personal choice. How is that going to make you feel the next day?
And so these communities, I think the carnivore community is the game changer in all of it. And let me I just want to get Amy Brisket Boomer's a question out there. Type 1 diabetic, eat lots of fat, carnivore 6 years. Why do I wake up at 2 to 3 a.m. feeling a rush of cortisol? Any thoughts on that, Claire?
Well, I think that can be stress. So it could be also the environment, your sleep environment can play into that. But funnily enough, I've been looking into that, and obviously it's slightly trickier because you've got the type 1 going on there. So I think you have to be careful around that with the blood sugars. But under eating, I think it also can play a part into that. But you probably have way more understanding on that than I do.
Well, the most important thing is get up early. I get up at 2 to 3 o'clock all day long, and I get up and I do my meditation, prayer, my workout. I come to this, I do my reading, I get ready for the live. So I think Amy's just getting ready for the live. And I think, and then I might take a nap or two. And I think maybe again, I never measure cortisol or glucose. I have no idea what it's doing. I agree with you. We often make a mountain out of a molehill because we think, oh, this, and we've been convinced that, oh, something's wrong with your glucose or your cortisol. Now, I agree with Amy's issues as a type 1 with no insulin, but that if you take insulin, you're obviously going to convert the sugars and amino acids in the liver to fat. You're going to lower your glucose levels, which in general may not be quite as harmful as we've made out them to be, in my opinion. Yeah. And I mean, my glucose gets down to 50 on a fast, easy. And I feel fantastic. So I basically imagine if I'm getting up at 2 or 3 in the morning, I got to get up and do something.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh my God, because I think it's our worry that actually makes the worry even worse.
Yeah, and it's interesting that came up because it's something I've been looking into just over the last few days, actually, and reading about that possibly when we're eating the proper human diet, that maybe our sleep is I think the term is biphasal. Does that sound correct? So that we wouldn't necessarily be sleeping in those big chunks of 7 to 8 hours. And again, that's what we've been told, isn't it? We've been told that that's the way we're meant to sleep. But you're saying maybe get 3, 4, 5 hours, you get up, and then you might have a nap.
I think napping is one of the best things I've ever done. And I never give negative thought to anything I live. Mm-hmm. I always imagine the great energy everywhere is actually giving me a gift today. And so I've done my best work at 2, 3, 4 in the morning creatively. Mm-hmm. And I think we just have to think differently of all of it. That's part of the things that I think our carnivore conversations need to grow with even more.
Yeah.
So would that then have an impact on how we see the circadian rhythm? Because we're told the circadian rhythm is over 24 hours. So is that cortisol spike then that we're being led to believe at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning is due to low blood sugar and therefore eat fat before bed or, do other things to mitigate that? Should that actually be part of that circadian rhythm?
Well, again, science has sort of skewed a lot of snake oil. Well, if this, then that. And I say, well, if this, then that, it's because you think it's so, more so than anything. But how come I could go a week without food? I sleep well, I work well, I live well, and I get up and I go do, and I don't get David B talks about, I no longer need 8 hours of sleep. Like,
Yeah.
I nap. If I'm tired, I go take a nap. And
Can I just throw in there,
Yeah,
is there a
please.
possibility, because I say this a lot, so in this menopause group, the groups that I run, I'm trying to just bring them all round to the idea of low carb, high fat, because they're coming off of low fat, high carb, barely any protein. So I'm just trying to get women to put more protein, more fat, and put that on their plate and prioritize that. I'm not telling them to restrict anything, because I know that if they focus on that, the carbs are naturally going to go down. But the other thing I say to them is we're not small men. So is there a possibility that our physiology works a bit different to yours? That we may not be optimal if we practiced carnivore the way that you do as a man?
Well, I don't really know that answer, but this idea, I need carbs or I need protein. Nobody eats carbs, nobody eats proteins. You either eat animals or plants. Okay? All animals, all plants, every cell of those organisms contain a phospholipid membrane. It contains protein, amino acids, and sugar glycans. And so, but the plants contain the poisons where the meat does not. Protein is another myth, okay? Your body doesn't crave protein. It craves food. The proper human diet is either an animal or a plant. In all of those things contains amino acids, fatty acids, and simple sugars, and all the minerals and vitamins your body requires. So we're different, but physiologically, does each cell work differently? It works the same. And so the idea that, we're different, well, we are different because of our gonads, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and ultimately our reproductive cycles are different, no doubt about it. But your body requires fat, and when you see we are missing fat, we're not missing protein, we're not missing sugar. There's no lack of protein or sugars in our diet, and I believe we absolutely require sugars in our diet, but they come from animals. It's back to understanding the glycobiome, the sugar layers in and on every single cell of our bodies. So we have no requirement to eat a plant, but we're healthiest when we eat animals and you focus on fat. I think that's what you're saying. So again, we are different in our physiology because of your gonads, ovaries or testicles, right? And the cyclicity that's created, right? And so I believe that we are different, men and women, for sure. Why are we trying to be men or women when we are men or women? Physiologically, we're driven to be this. But I do believe a plant-based diet damages your gonads and or
100%.
pituitary glands and make you absolutely question your gonads. Which is completely drugged out and not normal.
I quite often say to that, not only is it the lack of fat, it's the lack of B12.
Well, I think
not functioning.
But I think it's more the poisoning by plants than the lack of something, because again, our business on let me measure your levels. Oh, you're lacking this. Let me give you this. I don't think we've proven that giving you this fixes that.
It's the removal. So it's having it's like removing the poison and then and just allowing the body to recover by having what it needs to be optimum.
Right, because you can't there this idea for if you just give a vegan a supplement, they're going to be healthy. It's kind of like telling an alcoholic or a heroin or cocaine addict, let me give you this detoxifier, and it's okay to continue with alcohol, heroin, and cocaine, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or using a filtered cigarette, or even using non-alcoholic beer or wine.
Right. It still has the
Yeah.
plants in it.
Yeah,
The poisons,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do we have a few questions coming
We
up?
do. We should get those before we end off here. So, Eve, question: are there people who want to exercise and ones who don't? I don't enjoy exercising. I'd rather read a book. What do you say to that?
Definitely. So this is one of the fun things I do. I'm a little bit naughty when I start a group. So they come in week one, and we talk about have a little box that's yeah. My daughter made this box for me, and
Cute.
in here is a piece of paper and on each piece of paper is one of the supposed symptoms of menopause. So we do it like a bit like a bingo, and we go through that, and that's in week one. And then at the end of week one, I say to them, so starting next week, we're going to be doing movement. Because after doing this for 18 years, if I say workout or exercise, the vast majority of women freak out. Oh, I'm not fit enough to do it. Or I don't have the right clothes or all the equipment or whatever. So I just get so much joy out of introducing Pilates and strength training to women who may never have done anything like that before. I think if you don't enjoy exercise, it's about finding the thing you do enjoy. If the thought of going to the gym just is abhorrent to you, don't do it. Don't make yourself do something you don't want to do. Lifting heavy things is important, so you can look at doing things initially through yeah, there we go. You can look at doing things initially, say with your body weight. So again, Pilates is great because it's also low intensity, but it builds strength, it builds mobility, it builds balance, it builds flexibility. All those things are really important. Movement is medicine. We have to move our bodies. We were designed to move, not to sit down.
Well, and getting together in a group is movement. It's connection. It's creativity.
Yes.
And going for a walk and listening to our live or a rerun of what we're doing, or listening to Claire here. And so these are all important things that you don't have to exercise. And I actually label exercise as a cause of inflammation. I mean,
yes, if you do too much, definitely. I have to have that conversation. I see a lot of women who are into running, and I'm like, we were designed to sprint, maybe once every so often to get away from the saber-toothed tiger, but to go long distance running, no. Walk, yes, body designed to walk long distances. One of the best things you can do if you don't do anything else, walk, particularly after meals. Really good at leveling out blood glucose.
Walking is wondrous. It's so important. I mean, but think about it. 100 years ago, I mean, horse, bike. I mean, most people still walked in their villages to get the water, to clean the house, to do the things. Nowadays, you press a button, you order something. No one's going to there's no local markets, right?
No. Uber Eats.
Yep.
Yes.
We haven't. I've got an interesting point on that. So where we live, because of the army, we have quite a large Nepalese community, and I've been contacted by a woman from there. She's in her late 20s, and she's asking me for support for her mum, her aunts, and ladies who are going through menopause, because it's a bit of a taboo subject for them. And as part of that, we started talking about exercise. She's trying to get a girls running group going, because in their culture, exercise is a waste of time. Why do you go to do exercise? And exactly what you've just said, where they come from, I'm fortunate enough, I've been to Nepal, in a lot of particularly the villages, and when you're out in the Himalaya area, that's very much still how they are day to day. Everything, they walk everywhere because it's so mountainous, believe it or not. But when they then move to a more Western country, they don't have to do all of that. I do see the older generations though walking quite a lot. Usually they're in groups of 4 or 5 of them, and they do tend to go out and walk. But the idea of actually going to do exercise as something to do is alien to them. I find that fascinating. And I think that leads into what you were saying. Just natural, what they call it, neat, don't they? Just your everyday movement, just putting more movement actually through your whole day.
We've got another question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Blenda, I've been carnivore for a year and I still have hot flashes. They happen less often, but still happen. Why do we get hot flashes?
Okay, so the hot flashes, or hot flushes as we call them over here, you have this part of your brain which is your vasometer. So it's a bit like the thermostat. And that goes a little bit wonky as the hormones go up and down. So what's happening is where that's gone a little bit wonky, your body is trying to cool you down, which is why you sweat, because when we sweat, that helps us to cool our body down. There are certain things, carnivore and eating high fat, but if you're still having coffee, that can be a bit of a trigger. If you are someone that may still be using spices, that can be a bit of a trigger. If you're still having alcohol, that can also be a bit of a trigger. If they're at nighttime, so if they're like the night sweats, you really want to create an oasis of calm in your bedroom. So you want nice and dark, nice and cool. You want nice bedding that keeps everything cool. Maybe have a fan on or something, so that's conducive to sleep as well. So sometimes it's just that body adjusting, maybe up the fat a little bit more, just to try and help your body produce some more of those hormones, and it will just help to level it out a bit.
And Elizabeth Bright talks about butter, taking butter gal. Butter, we don't need enough fat, and butter is a great source of that for sure. I got 2 questions here on Instagram. Carnivore crowd, is fasting good for women? Conflicting carnivore doctor information. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I didn't want to go here because you and I are not going to agree on this. I'm with Dr. Bright on this one. I have personal experience. I think extended fasting for women can be detrimental. I have personal experience of that. I followed a very well-known protocol. I followed it to the letter. And even as last week, someone told me, you just didn't fast hard enough. You weren't following it properly. And I'm like, listen, what I do for my job and the person I am with my health, I do things properly. I follow it to the letter. And it did. It was likened to when the pilot light goes out. I think if you are perhaps eating your last meal around 5, 6, 7, and as long as you are having something by about 10, 11 o'clock the next day, then that's probably going to work okay for you. But we do need to play around with that a little bit. I work in the evenings, which isn't particularly good. So I was playing around earlier this week with having a meal before I go out to teach versus when I come in back home. I had the worst night's sleep. I was doing the 2, 3 o'clock in the morning thing from having my dinner much earlier. Had my dinner much later, added in a little bit extra fat, made some brown butter bites, and the sleep's come back again. So it really is very much looking at it. There are some women who definitely they thrive on doing the intermittent fasting. Some of them are doing 1 meal a day. They're thriving on it. Some of them are doing extended fasting, and they're finding it works for them. Yeah.
Isn't our problem our feelings? Okay. So ultimately our instinct drives us to find food and reproductive opportunities. That's it. And so we make a lot of stories here. And because of our feelings, right? I feel this way. Now, if you have no access to food for a month, are you going to die if you are 100 pounds overweight?
No.
Many organisms hibernate and gestate for 6 months. Don't eat a thing. They build babies. Yeah. So ultimately, the challenge is our habits are so used to 3 meals a day or even 1 meal a day, it is built in to be hard because food in our evolution is scarce.
Yes.
And so the fact that it's not right now, your brain is eat that.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
why we have dopamine.
I have no idea. I think the science skews us all, but ultimately you can fast as long as you want, but your brain is not going to let you do it easily. So that's when we begin to say, well, I couldn't do that. I mean, how many people get hangry because they need food, but they don't really need food, but they think they need food because that's what we've been brainwashed with. So ultimately, all of us could do fasting. It depends on how much fat is on your body, but physiologically, your brain is like, fine, you need food, so you get and stay fat, so you survive. So I think the challenge is emotionally or thinking wise, it's hard to do fasting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I did it very successfully, I thought, for 3.5 years. But I started putting on weight and my metabolism was just, and it took me about a year to reverse out of it. And then it was about a year later when I started carnivore.
Well, but again, putting on weight is not physiologically abnormal. We think it
Well,
is.
this amount of weight was.
No. Look at if a polar bear or a bear doesn't gain 1,000 pounds, they're dead. So again, imagine you living 3 months in the wintertime with very little to no food.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
So
that's why we would have eaten berries in the autumn, isn't it? Because that would have helped us pile on fat.
if that was our if that was our
Yes.
environment at the time. So again, we're talking about when we say we need this, we can't do this, it's not good for you. We're making the story up that may not be as true as you think it is.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I think any and all men and women can fast. The menstrual cycle has no idea what time of year environment you're in. But if for some reason you're too skinny, there's not enough fat, your reproductive system will shut down to protect you
Yeah.
in some
Exactly.
way. Well, okay,
And that's why you have to reach a certain weight for your periods to kick in, because your body then goes, oh, we can sustain a pregnancy, so we can start menstruating now. Hence the 8 and the 9-year-olds, because their bodies are that much heavier, more fat on them.
Oh, wow.
Well, and remember, what's more important than reproduction?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Well, exactly.
Nothing.
No, we're trying to be better than our evolution, aren't we?
We're
Living in the 21st century, but we're still in a body that was built, as you say, that reproduction is what we're here for.
That's right. So remember, in a time of stress, okay, that says, wait a minute, it's the stress either says don't reproduce or reproduce. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And one of the question, my wife has been carnivore for over 12 months. Why would she have bad body odor?
Oh, well, I would say that that's probably the body still detoxing. It's still
I
detoxing.
agree
You know,
with
it
that.
depends. It depends what your history was before. Was she someone that ate a standard American diet, or was she very heavily plant-based? The body's slowly detoxing that out.
And when someone says I'm keto or I'm carnivore, what are they eating?
Right. What are they
Who
eating?
knows? Who knows? And remember, a lean meat diet, and most carnivores eat a lean meat diet, actually. Most carnivores do not eat enough raw fat.
It's interesting you bring that up. So I am in a couple of carnivore groups over here in the UK, one of which I helped to admin. And I asked the ladies to tell me what benefits they had had from eating carnivore on
Okay.
their women's health. And there was one lady in particular that's very key. She put on 60 pounds and she was being carnivore.
Hmm.
And she's now realized that she was eating too high protein.
Interesting.
And she's now doing a minimum of 75 fat, 25 protein, sometimes aiming higher. And she's now lost 25 pounds and she's coming down. And she was stuck like that for years, couldn't understand, and had got into that mentality of, I have to eat high protein. So that, yeah, it's fascinating. But if I may just quickly share with you, in case there's anyone watching, this blew me away. So lots of them are saying their periods are less painful on carnivore, even more so than keto. And they've had, when they first started, they were having sometimes 2 periods a month, and that's all settled down again. No pain, no nothing for them. Management in perimenopause, getting rid of the hot flushes and the night sweats. PCOS, lots of people are getting rid of that. Endometriosis, someone with endometriosis who had been in pain for 26 years, all symptoms gone in 3 months.
Amazing. Amazing.
And endometriosis is one of those ones where they'll tell you, oh, there's no cure for it, and they'll do a hysterectomy, and that just actually moves the issue elsewhere in the body, because it isn't a disease of your womb and your ovaries, it's systemic. So that one was absolutely amazing. So many people, anxiety, depression, which it all plays into this fat again, and me going back to them saying, you've got to make up for all the low fat eating you've done for the last 30, 40 years.
Right.
Your body now needs that fat, because then it can make those hormones and it can help balance that out as you transition through menopause.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the most important reason to eat fat, especially raw fat. It actually kills the microbes in your gut. The microbes in your gut are fermenting. What do they ferment? Amino acids and sugars.
Yeah.
Fermentation of the microbes goes out your rectum, anus, and for women into the vagina. And that's the cause of endometriosis, endometritis, and all the diseases women suffer from. So if you go to and you look at the relationship of alimentation and disease by James Henry Salisbury, doctor, MD,
I got that.
Yeah. And so, but it's
I got a different cover.
So why does endometriosis go away on carnivore? Because a fatty carnivore is because the microbes are killed. The probiotics, the microbes biome is a killer for all of us. Yeah. That's the crazy.
I can see that Carnivore Rose is asking about what I eat on with Hashimoto. Yeah. So I eat a lot of butter. We're able to get unpasteurized butter from France here. It costs an absolute fortune. Yeah. But it is so good. And I credit that with the blood markers I got within 5 months. I knew they were going to be good, but I was blown away by how quickly they changed, particularly with the vitamin D. So for breakfast, now Dr. Chafee would tell me off for this because being autoimmune, but I do like bacon with lots of fat on it for breakfast. And I have eggs. Yes. I have 3 eggs, a ton of this butter, all scrambled. So that's my breakfast. Lunch, I will have I'll have like burger patties. I might have a bit of cheese on it. Sometimes I'll just have, we've got a fantastic company here called Mason's Meats, and he gets brisket and rib cap, and he makes it into like a very thinly sliced jerky, but it's literally just the meat and the salt and the fat on that. We were having a conversation in one of the Facebook groups about that. The fat on it is so good. I could actually just eat a bag of fat. In Italy, they have something called lardo, which is literally just the pork fat, and you can get that in slices. It's
oh my
so
god,
good.
so good.
And dinner is usually steak and eggs again, and lots of butter and tallow. So I'm hitting about 70-30-ish if I check it. If I try something new, I tend to eat the same things day in, day out because it works for me. I will put in, because I live on the coast, I can walk down and fresh off the boat that day, scallops with the coral on, which is that orange bit. We call it the coral here. So I love all of that. And crayfish tails, just to get my, being a thyroid person, to get my iodine, selenium, zinc and all of that in. That's what I eat.
And so it's that fat, and basically bacon is actually it's just the pork belly, the beef belly, the lamb belly. Now you could get it cured or uncured. And so people need to realize that bacon is best, in my opinion, when you get it, the uncured. But
Yeah, me too.
but is the cured the thing that's going to uncure you? I don't know that answer, but bacon, eggs, butter, beef, salt, that's my recommendation. And I'm going to stick with that all day long.
We get a lot of lamb here as well.
Yes.
Yum.
It's a meat that we get a lot in the UK. So yeah, if I know you've met Richard, and Richard being from Wales, he talks about lamb a lot and how the fat on lamb has 10 times the amount of omega-3 than beef does. So yeah, lamb is a good one if you can get it, if you like it. Some people find it a bit too gamey, a bit too strong.
But that's what our
Yeah.
ancient, again, gamey is hunter. And so we've got to
Oh,
get
I
used
love
to
it.
back to our ancient way. So Claire,
I was the kid that, and now I understand why. My body did not want fruit and vegetables when I was a kid. It knew what it wanted, and I would fight my grandma for all of the fat and the juices on a roast beef. My dad hated chicken skin. My sister and I used to fight each other to get the chicken skin off of his plate, and we'd have to take it in turns. And it's been fascinating to look back and think, oh my God, as a child, my body knew what it wanted. And then I just, you get in your head and you end up trying to do all the plants.
all right. I think we're ending our live here.
We are. We gotta do the giveaway real quick.
What's the gift today?
Oh, it's this. It's not this exact one, but
It's the Kiltz Mighty Tribe hat.
Yeah, exactly. Kiltz Mighty Tribe hat today.
Awesome.
Here we go. Giveaway. Let's go. Hashtag Claire. Yay, Luis! Maybe he will get this one. Maybe he will get this one. He lives near me.
Oh, good. Well, again, we're inviting human beings from around the globe that are feeling sick and unhealthy and just not having purpose and direction in life. And Claire Grant is here today, been sharing with Carnivore, helping and healing women. But it's for men and women. It's for families, young and old, tall and short, fat or skinny. Those aren't your diseases. It's basically we've been misaligned with incorrect information, and we can change that, right, Claire?
100%. Yeah, but just keep
going. Where do people find you?
So you can find me on YouTube at Thriving Carnivore UK. And I'm on all socials under Claire Grant Women's Health. So Facebook and LinkedIn and
Happy
Instagram.
Wife, Happy Life. And,
oh yeah.
And again, not everyone's going to jump on this right away, but it is the game changer that I've learned. I'll be 69 in a week, and I'll be 70. Basically, I'm finishing 69 years. That is I feel so amazing in this carnivore crazy lifestyle. Austin, Texas. Where do people go to find tickets for Austin?
They go to drkiltz.com or healinghumanity.com.
Yes, and it's for in Austin on this Saturday.
This Saturday. I'm
Ollie
flying
is going to be there. Kiltz is going to be there. Malcolm's going to be there. I think Nate's going to be there.
Nate's going to be there.
We got Carrie Mann. We got
oh wow,
Adam Lacey and more. So, and what are the meetups coming up in your neck of the woods, Claire?
Well, our biggest one coming up soon will be the Public Health Collaboration, the PHC. So Dr. David Unwin is one of the founding people of that. That is 31st of May and 1st of June. That's in Euston in London. So the tickets are on the Public Health Collaboration website. I'm an ambassador for them. So they are all about getting people low carb, high fat, leading them into carnivore. That's where I'm coming at it from. So yeah, it's all good.
I think the low carb, high fat and one meal a day is one of the best things we can do. in order to heal humanity. And whether you fast more than that, but I think 2 to 3 meals a day is like, just doesn't make any sense to me. So, but we're going to sign off and we'll be on tomorrow. Who's on tomorrow morning with us?
Who's on? Melissa B.
Oh, Melissa B's on tomorrow.
I won't be here. I'm so sorry. I won't be here, but Melissa B will be here.
You'll see Melissa B. All right. All right. We're signing off. Kiltz
Bye.
Dr.
Bye.
Kiltz Instagram. And again, thank you. Thank you.
Bye.